Future Escort, Book 1, by Carl East. Narrated by Maggie Dale.
The year is 2116. It's been 50 years now since first contact. When the Cordis arrived, many believed that it would be the end of the world. How wrong can one race be? We soon discovered that they were simply one race amongst thousands who had a policy of non-interference. What this meant was that any given civilization had to have reached a certain level of technology before they were allowed into the Planetary Alliance. The Alliance was made up of Type 1, 2, and 3 civilizations. We were Type 1, in that we were now able to visit other solar systems. Type 2 civilizations were thousands of years ahead of Type 1, but were still tied to simple interplanetary voyages. Type 3 civilizations were masters of the universe. There was nowhere that they couldn't go and nothing they couldn't do. We very rarely saw the Type 3 aliens, as we held little interest for them. I'd learned all of this at school alongside other aliens, so for me at the age of 18, seeing aliens walking around on the street was simply the norm. I was fascinated by history and wondered how we managed to get along all those years ago. When I read about things like cars that were stuck to the roads and airplanes that took 8 hours to arrive at their destinations, I wondered how we even survived. The Earth was now a protected planet, and as such, pollutants were illegal. Weapons were banned worldwide, and there was no need for armies. The Alliance guaranteed a violent-free society, thanks to their non-lethal robotic police force, which was one of the many advances given to us by the agreement. The agreement was made during first contact, and was something we had to sign, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to join the Alliance. It took all the countries in the world to come around a table and agree for that to happen. Anyway, my name is Colleen. Collie to my friends. I was now in the process of choosing a college, and I couldn't decide which one I wanted to be a part of. It was during that indecision when I first saw the advert pop up on my slate. It was an invitation for all human females to be a part of something that was extraordinary. The further I read, the more intrigued I became. It spoke of being able to visit any planet in the Milky Way galaxy, and of becoming so wealthy that you could afford your own interstellar spacecraft. I kept reading as I wondered where the catch would be, and it wasn't until near the end of the long list of benefits that I discovered what that catch was. Every participant had to become an escort of the many dignitaries and heads of state of the various planets that made up the Alliance. It was no more than an escort agency. However, the rewards were very impressive. I still had 6 months before I had to commit to college, so the idea of signing up for this, in order to earn the money that I could use to pay back my parents, was a strong one. In the end, I decided to look into it further, and in order to do that, I had to visit the agency that sent out the advert. They were located in the center of town, and were run by a well-known travel agency. When I arrived, I couldn't believe how many women were waiting in line to make inquiries about the exact same thing. I decided long before I reached the front of the queue to go home and try again the following day. The next day, I found I was 6th in line, so I decided to wait this time. When it was my turn, they were all over me, trying to sell the package as if it was the best thing since sliced bread. I learned that I'd be going to the Stigma solar system if I signed up, and that the rewards for those chosen to become escorts were mind-blowing. I left armed with a lot of information about where I'd be going and with what race I'd be going with. The Scorts were a race known for their culture and diplomatic skills. They were also one of the original Alliance members. It all sounded fine, and I didn't feel as if I was in any danger if I went through with it all. By the time I left that day, I'd signed on the dotted line, and I was excited about what awaited me out there. I had to wait for a few days in order for them to arrange my transport, which turned out to be a Escort liner of immense proportions. I witnessed many women getting on board the shuttle that would take us to the liner, which was orbiting Earth. As we took off, I wondered if I'd made a mistake. On approaching the liner, I was awestruck. We had big ships ourselves because of the agreement, but nothing that compared to this. It made the shuttle I was in look like a paper plane. Once on board, we were taken
Sample complete. Ready to continue?